Morning. We're moving into John chapter 8 today. And this is a situation where the Pharisees are seeking to trap Jesus. The Pharisees are seeking to catch Christ off guard. And as always, as you know from your devotional this morning, Christ actually turns the table on them. This is John chapter 8, verse 3. It says, "The scribes and Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and placing her in the midst, they said to him, 'Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now in the law of Moses, he commanded us to stone such a woman. What do you say?' This they said to test him, that they may have some charge to bring against him. And Jesus bent down, and he wrote his finger on the ground. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and he said, 'Let him who is without sin among you throw the first stone at her.' And once more he bent down and wrote on the ground." You probably notice in this story that there's a missing person. They caught this woman in adultery, but they didn't bring the man as well. I mean, some people believe that what could have been going on here was the man with whom they caught this woman might have been one of the scribes of the Pharisees. Nobody really knows, but they only bring the woman. Now, they were right. The law does say that for this particular sin in the law of Moses, that someone could be stoned and killed. But that's really not the point that Christ wants to bring up. The first thing he does is he kneels down and he begins to write in the sand, and then he says to them, "Let him who is without sin cast the first stone." Now, how easy it is for all of us to see sin in other people without seeing the sin in our own lives. How easy it is for us to talk about other people who struggle with sin without talking about our own struggles. It is so easy for us to have high expectations for others, yet not be honest with ourselves. In the book of Romans, chapter 2, Jesus dealt with a similar audience, and he says, you judge people who sin, but you go out and you do the same thing. I think that it is so much easier to be around a person who knows that they are a sinner, who knows that they deserve separation from God, and who rejoices in the grace that God has given them, even though they don't deserve it, than it is to hang out with people who think they're perfect. Jesus says in Matthew 7, verse 1, "Don't judge lest you be judged. For with the judgment that you use, you will be judged. With the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck in your brother's eye without noticing the log in your own?" You need to be careful as a child of the Most High God that you're not always looking out for the sin in other people's lives and not confessing the sin in your own lives. Be authentic in your Christian life. Confess your sins. God is faithful and just to cleanse you so that you might stand righteously before Him. Just remember to rejoice in what Christ has done for you, and with the mercy and the grace that you have received from God, extend that same mercy and grace into the lives of other people. I encourage you to do that today.